Sahla, my dreamer friend. This is Zenobia. From the other night, I helped you with your hypnosis problems. How are you? كيفك? Yes, hello. It's so good to see you again. I'm so glad you are back in your own mind and you have your own dreams back. And tonight I would just like to help you by sharing with you very, very important wisdom from the psychonatic sage and ethnobotanist named Terence McKenna. I would like to read you some very nutritious words that came out of his mind and that he shared with us. If you are like me, and like me I mean like a seeker, and you are looking for spiritual comfort and truth, quote unquote, nobody has the monopoly or the complete absolute truth, but we are looking for things that resonate with us and help us through the night. Okay, if you are like me and you are looking for these kinds of things, you enjoy the words of Terence McKenna. So I want to share with you some of the very choicest, most bestest words that he had to share. Okay, excellent. Perfect. Culture is not your friend is something he said quite often. Okay, culture is not your friend. We have to create culture. Don't watch TV, don't read magazine, don't even listen to NPR. Create your own roadshow. The nexus of space and time where you are now is the most immediate sector of your universe. And if you are worrying about Michael Jackson or Bill Clinton or Nicki Minaj, I don't know who is popular now, Beyonce or something, somebody, then you are disempowered. You're giving all of your power away to icons which are maintained by an electronic media, so that you want to dress like X or have lips like Y. This is shit-brained. This kind of thinking, it's all cultural diversion. And what is real is you. You are real. And your friends are real. And your associations, your highs, your orgasms, your hopes, your plans, your fears, that's all real. We are told that we are not important. We are told we are just on the periphery. Get a job, get a degree, get a this, get a that, and then you're a player. You don't even want to play in these games, no. You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron, consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Only psychos and the shamans create their own reality. Television is by nature the dominator drug par excellence. Control of content, uniformity of content, repeatability of content make it inevitably a tool of coercion, brainwashing, and manipulation. Nature loves courage. You make the commitment, and nature will respond to that commitment by removing obstacles. Dream the impossible dream, and the world will not grind you under. No. It will lift you up. This is the trick. This is what all the teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical gold, this is what they understood. This is the shamanic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done. By hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering that it is a feather bed. Chaos is what we have lost touch with. This is why it is given a bad name. It is feared by the dominant archetype of our world, which is ego, which clenches because its existence is defined in terms of control. The cost of sanity in this society is a certain level of alienation. The real secret of magic is that the world is made of words. And if you know the words that the world is made of, you can make of it whatever you wish. The creative act is letting down of the net of human imagination into the ocean of chaos on which we are suspended, and the attempt to bring out of it ideas. It is the night sea journey, the lone fisherman on a tropical sea with his nets, or her nets, and you let these nets down. Sometimes something tears through them that leaves them in shreds, and you just row for shore and put your head under your bed and pray. At other times, what slips through are the minutiae, the minnows of this ichthyological metaphor of idea chasing. But sometimes you can actually bring home something that is food. Food for the human community. Food that we can sustain ourselves on and on and on and going forward. This is from Food of the Gods, the search for the original tree of knowledge. Ego is a structure that is erected by a neurotic individual who is a member of a neurotic culture against the facts of the matter. And culture, which we put on like an overcoat, is the collectivized consensus about what sort of neurotic behaviors are actually acceptable. The problem is not to find the answer. No. It's to face the answer. The apocalypse is not something which is coming. The apocalypse has arrived in the major portions of the planet, and it is only because we live within a bubble of incredible privilege and social insulation that we still have the luxury of anticipating the apocalypse. Half the time you are thinking, you are just actually listening. Nobody is smarter than you. And what if they are? So what? What good is their understanding doing for you? There is a transcendental dimension beyond language. It's just hard as hell to talk about it. The imagination is the goal of history. I see culture as an effort to literally realize our collective dreams. I see culture as an effort to literally realize our collective dreams. We can begin by restructuring thought, by declaring legitimate what we have denied for so long. Let us declare nature to be legitimate. Yes. The notion of illegal plants is obnoxious and ridiculous in the first place. Right now, right here and now, one quanta away, there is raging a universe of active intelligence that is transhuman, hyperdimensional, and extremely alien. What is driving a religious feeling today is a wish for contact with this other universe. Listen carefully because this is very important. History is ending because the dominator culture has led the human species into a blind alley. And as the inevitable catastrophe approaches, people look for metaphors and answers. Every time a culture gets into trouble, it casts itself back into the past, looking for the last sane moment it ever knew. And the last sane moment we ever knew was on the plains of Africa 15,000 years ago, rocked in the cradle of the great horned mushroom goddess before history, before standing armies, before slavery and property, before warfare and phonetic alphabets, on monotheism, before. And this is where the future is taking us, because the secret faith of the 20th century is not modernism. The secret faith of the 20th century. You ready for the secret? Okay. Perfect. The secret faith of the 21st century is nostalgia. Nostalgia for the archaic. Nostalgia for the Paleolithic. And nostalgia that gives us body-piercing, abstract expressionism, surrealism, jazz, rock and roll, and catastrophe theory. The 20th century mind is nostalgic for the paradise that once existed on the mushroom-dotted plains of Africa, where the plant-human symbiosis occurred that pulled us out of the animal body and into the tool-using, culture-making, imagination-exploring creature that we are now. And why does this matter? Oh, it matters. It matters because it shows the way out. It shows the way that the way out is back, and that the future is a forward escape into the past. The past. This is what the psychedelic experience means. It's a doorway out of history and into the wiring under the board in eternity. And I tell you this because if the community understands what it is that holds it all together, the community will be better able to streamline itself for flight into hyperspace, because what we need is a new myth. What we need is a new true story that tells us where we're going in the universe. And that true story is that the ego is a product of pathology, and when psilocybin is regularly part of the human experience, the ego is suppressed, and the suppression of the ego means the defeat of the dominators, the materialists, the product peddlers, and so on, and such and such. Psychedelics return us to the inner worth of the self, to the importance of the feeling of immediate experience, and nobody can sell importance to you. Nobody can sell that to you, and nobody can buy it from you. So the dominator culture is not interested in the felt presence of immediate experience. But that is what holds the community together. And as we break out of the silly myths of science, and the infantile obsessions of the marketplace, what we discover through the psychedelic experience is that in the body, there are Niagaras of beauty, alien dimensions that are part of the self, the richest part of life. I think about going to the grave without having a psychedelic experience. And it is like going to the grave without ever having sex. It means that you never figured out what it is all about. The mystery is in the body and the way the body works itself into nature. What the archaic revival means is shamanism, ecstasy, orgiastic sexuality, and the defeat of the three enemies of the people. And the three enemies of the people are hegemony, monogamy, and monotony. And if you get them on the run, you have the dominator sweating, folks, because that means you're getting it all reconnected, and getting it all reconnected means putting aside the idea of separateness and self-definition through thing fetish. Getting it all connected means tapping into the guy in the mind. And the guy in mind is what we're calling the psychedelic experience. It's an experience of the living fact of the entelechy of the planet. And without that experience, we wander in a desert of bogus ideologies. But with that experience, the compass of the self can be set. And that's the idea. Figuring out how to reset the compass of the self through community, through ecstatic dance, through psychedelics, sexuality, intelligence. This is what we have to make the forward escape into cyberspace. You see, a secret is not something untold. No. It's something which can't be told. Reality is, the tip of an iceberg of irrationality that we've managed to drag ourselves up onto for a few panting moments before we slip back into the sea of the unreal. Even as the 19th century had come to grips with the notion of human descent from apes, now we must come to terms with the fact that those apes were stoned apes. Part of what psychedelics do is they decondition you from cultural values. This is what makes it such a political hot potato, since all culture is kind of a con game. The most dangerous candy you can hand out is one which causes the people to start questioning the rules of the game. And the reason we feel so alienated is because the society is infantile, trivial, and stupid. So the cost of our sanity in the society is a certain level of alienation. I grapple with this because I'm a parent, and I think anybody who has children, you come to this realization, what'll it be? alienated, cynical intellectual, or slack-jawed, half-wit consumer of the horror shit being handed down from on high. There is not much choice in there, you see, and we all want our children to be well adjusted. Unfortunately, there's nothing or not much to be well adjusted to. It's the imagination that argues for the divine spark within human beings. It is literally a descent of the world's soul into all of us. And ideology, on the other hand, always paves the way toward atrocity. No one even knows enough to worry. Yet you don't want to become so open-minded that the wind whistles between your ears. My voice speaking is a monkey's mouth making little mouth noises that are carrying agreed upon meaning, and it is meaning that matters. Without the meaning, you only have little mouth noises. The shaman is the remote ancestor of the poet and the artist. This is why. Our need to feel part of the world seems to demand that we express ourselves through creative activity. The ultimate wellsprings of this creativity are hidden in the mystery of language. Shamanic ecstasy is an act of surrender that authenticates both the individual self and that which is surrendered to. The mystery of being. Because our maps of reality are determined by our present circumstances, we tend to lose awareness of the larger patterns of time and space. Only by gaining access to the transcendent other can those patterns of time and space and our role in them be glimpsed. Nothing comes unannounced, but we can miss the announcement. So it is very important to actually listen to your own intuition rather than driving through it. There's light at the end of the tunnel. The problem is that the tunnel is in the back of your mind, and if you don't go to the back side of your mind, you will never see the light at the end of the tunnel. And once you see it, then the task becomes to empower it in yourself and other people. Spread the light as a reality. God did not retire to the seventh heaven. Jannah. God is some kind of lost continent in the human mind. Our self-discoveries make each of us a microcosm of the larger pattern of history. The inertia of introspection leads toward recollection. For only through memory is the past recaptured and understood, and the fact of experiencing and making the present. In this fact, we are all actors. reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron, consuming some of this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Turn to nature when you need comfort, when you need guidance, because nature is not mute. It is humans who need a hearing aid, who are a little deaf. Not to know one's true identity is to be mad. It is a mad, disensouled thing, a golem. That's what you become when you do not know your true identity. And indeed, this image, sickeningly Orwellian, applies to the mass of human beings now living in this high-tech, industrial, democratic world. Their authenticity lies in their ability to obey and follow mass style changes that are conveyed through the media, immersed in junk food, trash media, and crypto fascist politics. They're condemned to toxic, very toxic lives of low awareness, sedated by the prescripted daily television fix. They are a kind of zombie, and walking, living, dead, lost to all but the act of consuming. Do not listen. You are important. You are not peripheral. You are central. You don't just need to get a job and a this and a that. Okay, you want to reclaim your mind, play a different game and get it out of the hands of these people and make sure you are in control of it. There is a very special, near and dear to my heart, talk, a speech that Mr. McKenna gave. The Importance of Human Beings is the title of the talk. So these are the last words, some words from this talk. These are the last words I would like to share before you drift off on the theta waves into your REM dream dimensions, your dreamscapes. The importance of being human beings. The importance of human beings. Terence McKenna. Media spreads darkness at the speed of light. He's very concerned about this. And he says there is a general law of the universe overlooked by science, that out of complexity emerges greater complexity. We could almost say that the universe, nature, is a novelty conserving or complexity conserving engine. It makes complexity and it preserves it, and it uses complexity as the basis for further complexity. Each advancement into complexity, into novelty, proceeds more quickly than the stage that preceded it. He says that we are sort of like, or we feel like spectators to this drama of things proceeding, a drama that we did not write, so we should not expect to understand and be able to influence the outcome of things. Or at least this is what we are taught. In contrast, though, with the message of most monotheistic religions, humans do have a special role in conserving and promoting complexity. Can you imagine a single species, humans, us, has broken from the ordinary constraints of animal nature and created a new world, a whole new world, an epigenetic world, meaning a world not based on gene transfer and chemical propagation and preservation of information, but instead we have created a world based on ideas, on symbols, on technologies, on tools, ideas downloaded out of the human imagination and concretized in three-dimensional space as helicopter choppers, aeropoints, particle accelerators, gene sequencers, spacecraft, what have you, so on and so on. All of this complexification is now occurring at a faster and faster rate. The acceleration of time, it is not just an illusion. It is related to human behavior, consciousness. So we contrast this with the science. Science is a condensed cultural point of view. It's a rigid crystal of interlocking assumptions. Assumptions such as matter is primary, most important, and the mind is not so important, is tertiary. Causality works if you are looking from the past into the future. You say this caused that, and so forth and so on. But what psychedelics do in terms of impact on the physical brain and the organism of human beings is they withdraw cultural programming. They dissolve cultural assumptions. They lift you out of that reassuring crystal and matrix of interlocking truths, which are lies, and instead they throw you into the presence of the great who knows, the mystery that has been banished from Western thought since the rise of Christianity and the suppression of the mystery religions. What is revealed through the psychedelic experience, I think, is a higher dimensional perspective on reality. A higher dimensional, mathematical sense, like you are lifted out of the plane of cultural assumptions and can look down with a kind of godlike understanding that one obtains when one flies in an aeroplane over a landscape previously only viewed from the ground. In other words, from the vantage point of the psychedelic experience, the cultural landscape is seen more nearly in its correct perspective, seen as historically bounded, spatially and intellectually bounded. He then contrasts the animals with the plants by saying that animals are mobile, plants are not so mobile, and this helps animals operate in a more spatial dimension. If the conquest of dimensionality and being able to operate in space, in the spatial area, is the criteria, then notice that humans again occupy a special and privileged position in nature. Consciousness is this generalized word that we use for this coordination of complex perception to create a world that draws from the past and builds a model of the future, and then suspends a perceiving organism in this magical moment called the now. And the now is where the past is coordinated for the purpose of navigating the future. Malcolm McLuhan called it driving with the rear view mirror, and the only good thing about it is that it's better than driving with no mirror at all. Right? The only good thing. And then McKenna, he goes on to talk about the acheton, the end, the teleology, the end of it all. We must create a theory of reality that does not require a goal, does not require a purpose. Everything must be pushed from the past. Nothing must be pulled toward the future. He says this is the problem with thinking in our society based on science, because science avoids talking about a purpose to everything or an end or a goal for all of this human experience and for life. But there is a problem with this scientific paradigm. The problem with this is that it does not fulfill our intuitions, what we really deeply feel inside ourselves about reality. When we listen to what is inside, we understand that we know there is a purpose, there is a goal. And you experience this especially when you are taking part in the psychedelic experience. The psychedelic experience takes the raw material of your life, your culture, your history, and tells you this is not a mishmash to be lived out with dignity, because there's nothing else that you can do with it. Like something from Camus. No, your reality, the psychedelic experience says, no, your reality is a coherent cosmos, and embedded in your own sense of identity, embedded in your own sense of purpose, is a microscopic reflection of the larger purpose that is built into the universe. Reality is accelerating toward an unimaginable omega point, an end point. And the great breakthrough of psychedelics and shamanism is this. Science got it absolutely wrong. The universe did not begin in a singularity. Who knows how the universe began, or who would even claim to know or presume to judge? No. The universe, we do not know how it began, but it did not begin in a singularity. It does end. It ends in a singularity. Listen carefully. This is about you. and your purpose and your life and meaning and happiness and all of these things. You are not mere spectators or a cosmic accident or some sideshow or the Greek chorus to the main event. The human experience, don't let this go to your head. The human experience is the main event. The coordination of perception, of hope, of dream, of vision that occurs inside the human heart and mind and body interface is the most complex phenomenon in the universe. When you consult a shaman to find out your purpose, your mission, you are told you are special, your abilities are very central to the help of our society. You will cure, you will prophesy, you will guide our society in its most fundamental decisions. Oh, this is quite different from what a person exhibiting mental illness, quote unquote, like schizophrenia, in our society is told, okay? People tell the shaman, you are special, you have very special abilities to heal our society, you will heal, you will cure, you will prophesy, you will lead us and help us make important decisions. But oh no, when someone has a mental illness in our society, quote unquote mental illness, they're told you don't fit in, you are becoming a problem, you don't pull your own weight, you are not of equal worth to the rest of us, you are sick, you have to go to the hospital, you have to be locked up, you are like a prisoner or a lost dog, you are a threat, something. So the treatment of the mentally ill makes them incurable. Imagine if you were slightly odd or different, and the solution was to take you and put you into a place where everyone was seriously mad. That would drive anyone mad. If you have ever been in a madhouse, you know that it's an environment calculated to make and keep you crazy. Majnun. This would never happen in an aboriginal or traditional society. The idea is that we have gotten sick by following a path of untrammeled rationalism, male dominance, attention to the visible surface of things, practicality, bottom lineism. We have gone very, very sick. And the body politic, like anybody, when it feels itself to be sick, it begins to produce antibodies or strategies for overcoming the condition of disease. And the 20th century is an enormous effort at self-healing. Like I told you before, phenomena as diverse as surrealism, body piercing, psychedelic drug use, sexual permissiveness, jazz, experimental dance, rave culture, tattooing. The list is endless, really. What do all of these things have in common? They represent various styles of rejection of linear values. The society is trying to cure itself with an archaic revival. reversion to archaic values. So, when you see people manifesting sexual ambiguity or scarifying themselves or showing a lot of flesh or dancing to syncopated music, getting loaded or violating ordinary canons of sexual behavior, applaud them, because it's an impulse to return to what is felt by the body, to what is authentic, what is archaic. And when you tease apart these archaic impulses, at the very center of all of these impulses is a desire to return to a world of magical